This time on Boneyard Revivals, we tear down the budget build 350 to figure out what went wrong.
Hey, want to go for a ride in my square body?
Yeah.
Alright, back with the square body today by popular demand. Wait, I gotta fill you in on a bunch of stuff. This year, like earlier in the spring, when, winter finally ended and it was time to get this truck back out again and start driving it, I pulled it out, went over all the fluids and stuff, and I think we drove it around a little bit. And I noticed that our perimeter valve covers that we had on with our billet adapters were once again leaking. When I went to go change these center bolt valve covers on it, we pulled the Edelbrock valve covers off and saw a bunch of moisture built up inside of the valve cover. And we're like, well, what's that about? So I let the truck sit for a week, I think, right here where it's sitting now, and came out and said, all right, we're going to drop the oil pan plug out of it. And if it's not an oil color, we have problems. So I was trying to decide, it's like, do I pull the motor out, completely go through the motor? But I just didn't know if I wanted to go that far until we picked up this whole front clip in a junkyard about a month ago. And I think you're already connecting the dots on what I'm thinking about doing here. But yeah, I'm thinking we'll do a 2-for-1 deal here. We'll rip off the whole front clip so we can get into the engine. We're gonna have to tear it down at least to a short block again. Since the Case does such a great job at pulling vehicles around here, we'll see if she can, pull the old square body up to the garage door. Time to show some devastation. Yeah, that's milkshake, boys. Seeing it again just really makes me want to cry, jump off a bridge. You know how it goes. I'm starting to think I got a little too ambitious today. Well, got it rolled in the shop. Whole front clip's off, as you saw. And next we gotta tear into this. We're gonna be pulling our distributor out, carb intake, front accessories, disconnecting the headers, and then pulling our Vortec heads off. There it goes. Oh, yeah. Oh, good God. Yep, to be expected. Lots of milkshake in here. All right, we got all of our head bolts out off on the driver's side here. I'm just actually going ahead and physically pulling them out. Nothing there. Be real something if the block was cracked. I don't know why I just said that out loud. All right, well, I guess we'll pull the passenger side head off as well. Oh, there's a ground back there too. You're lying if I said I fully saw it. So, yeah, I looked over these heads and the head gaskets. My old man and Joe both came over and looked at, the heads and the head gaskets. The only thing we have left to do now that we might do is we might get these heads pressure checked. But, yeah, so if the heads check out, which I think at this point they're going to, we would have saw something evident, especially if it was washing down the cylinder or something like that. But my biggest fear now is that the block's actually cracked. And honestly, I wouldn't even know how it would get cracked. Unfortunately, as much as I was hoping to avoid doing it, I think the budget build 350 has to come out. And if it's bad enough where it's not replaceable, well, rest in peace to budget build 350. Which is insane, because when you think about it, this truck might have I think I've overheated it once, like 2 years ago, because it decided to toss the fan belt. But it wasn't like I nuked it, like where I'm like, oh, I probably blew a head gasket. No, just one of those things that got hot and then I shut it down quick. This truck has this crazy way of just, you know, you're climbing, you're on a roller coaster, you're going up, and then you peak and you're so excited. It's when you're driving it, you're having a good time, and then just, yeah, so we might be putting a whole nother motor in this truck. God.
You're going to see some leaks around the edges.
Just because of the seal of
The rubber's not sealing 100% sometimes, so you'll see it like come around that.
Okay. So that's... the line of said I saw anything.
No, I don't see nothing.
No.
It shouldn't matter anyway because it's...
Well, even... Honestly, as far as it goes with the combustion chamber, you shouldn't see anything because it wouldn't put the coolant in the oil pan. Yeah.
And these are too clean.
To show any sign of coolant going through there, but...
In my opinion, yes.
I don't see anything there either. I mean, our only hope is that either, like I said, if it is the block, whatever, but if it was as simple as an intake leak, that's not, I mean, it sucks, but it's not as bad. But at the same time, too, regardless, it really doesn't matter at this point, because even if it is the block, at least you have another one. And like I said, basically, the whole game plan has changed, because even if it is the block, we have another one, and these heads will not be making a return to this engine regardless, just because it's time for more upgrades. But at least, you know what I will say, though, is at least as far as the heads go, it's good to know that they're still okay. Because I think that if, you know, going forward for another potential build, it makes sense and helps that I know I can use these heads again and I wouldn't be afraid to. So whether it's intake gasket leak or the block is cracked, we'll be fine either way. It just depends on how much money I'm going to spend basically at this point. So as you guys just saw, we pressure checked our Vortec heads and they came back with flying colors. They're both good. So with those of you, when we initially built those heads and fixed the original crack in it, and said that they were junk and that they weren't going to work, go forth and fornicate with yourself. And also, that means they're good. However, this also creates a prime opportunity to upgrade this truck in a way in which I've always wanted to. And I also have plans for that budget build 350 because I always wanted a set of aluminum heads on it. And some of you guys were mentioning that because this block is a roller block, it was kind of a shame to not put a roller cam back in it. Well, you know, some dreams do come true eventually. It just takes Robert a little bit of time to make it happen for you. So with that being said, yes, the game plan has completely 180 and changed. Let's start tearing into this. Let's get this thing out of the truck and take it from there. So we have our Vortec intake here, and pretty much brought it over to Joe's. You know, of course, it's the right thing to do. And what we're noticing is that if you look at our gasket here, there's a lot of rust here. So coolant, you know, was making its way up into here, which caused it to rust, and then you can see the pitting on the intake. So was there a chance that it, you know, the coolant was working its way down? The only thing that's weird though is that if you look at the bottom of our gasket, it looks fine. But the only thing that concerns me is that you can see where coolant was coming up. I just have a feeling, you know, there's, you know, that this was the head side. Obviously, you can see our orange paint from where I painted the, you know, the intake side of the head like a moron, and let it go. So that's why the orange paint is here. However, you know, that would be the other side of it. The only thing that concerns me, so this basically it went on like this. The only thing that concerns me is that you can see the coolant here. So there's a potential, unfortunately, where the coolant was coming in. Which, if it's an intake leak, that's way better than having another issue. However, you know, we got to dig into it more, which unfortunately means, you know, tearing the block apart just to make sure that we're good. Out a little more. Why does it feel like I've done this too many times with this damn truck? Motor in, motor out, motor in, motor out.
I think that's your favorite thing to do.
You know, it just might be. That might be my favorite pastime and hobby. Is just constantly tearing this truck apart and putting it back together. There it goes. Okay. Just had to want it. So what we're doing here is we're going to pop off our main bearing cap just to see what the main bearing looks like. We'll look at one or two of them. If one or two of them are good, basically we'll kind of take it from there. Like I said before, I don't think the block's honestly cracked. I don't know, I just can't foresee it. So, but I did want to open up our bottom end here just to see what the main bearings look like. Oh boy. I think we're going to be putting another set of bearings on this. It didn't come apart. That thing is hammered. Well, there's the front one. We're in for a set of main bearings at a minimum, if not rod bearings as well. There was a few of you that said when we had this engine apart, when we put the Vortec heads on it and whatnot, that it was already apart and that we probably should have replaced our bearings. You might have been 100% correct on that, especially after what we saw our cam bearings look like. Oh, I just hope the crank's not wasted. But there's that. All right, well, now we know what we're up against. A lot more money is going to be spent. Well, there you have it. We are in pretty deep on this one, unfortunately. We're going to have to rebuild this engine. At least it's going to need main bearings while we're there, too. Should just get a set of rod bearings. The few other things that we're seeing is that this engine looked like it was never actually line honed. So that's kind of an issue, too. So that might have to get, the engine might just have to get torn down completely and just get the whole works. So that really changes plans again. I know I was talking about, you know, him and Han this entire video of what we're going to do with this, but unfortunately, I think the budget build 350 is going to sit back in the corner, and we're going to have to sit on this one for a while. I just really don't have the money to just throw at it at this moment with all the other projects we got going on. So, well, RIP the budget build 350 for now. We will find another motor. We will stab it in the square body, and we'll get that truck up and running again, just because it's been killing me that it's been apart this long. But yeah, so I guess that's where we're at with this one. Also, side note, or more like the main note, confirming and re-looking at some stuff, and I know there wasn't a video clip of it, but, you know, I'll throw some up now, but it was most likely, you know, 90% an intake leak. Like I said, nothing washed down the cylinders to show that it would be a head gasket leak. And basically, for the coolant to get in there the way it did, basically it came through the intake. And the reason why, unfortunately, I think it leaked through the intake, again, a mistake on my part, was painting the intake side of those heads. So those of you that asked, hey, why would you paint the intake? Well, I totally understand why you're asking that question now. And, you know, hey, we're all about learning stuff on this channel, right? So that's a lesson going forward. We will no longer be painting intake surfaces of heads, because that's probably why there's coolant in there to begin with. I mean, yes, the coolant running through the engine the short amount of time it did, it will definitely hurt the main bearings and the rod bearings and all that kind of stuff. But looking at the cam bearings compared to them, there is definitely another ongoing issue there. So, I mean, did the coolant mixing with the oil hurt it? Yes, absolutely. Won't deny that. But to say that it totally wiped them out, I can't argue that one either. So point proven. Basically, this thing we need to completely go through this thing to make it right again, and make everything go with the world. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. We will see you next time here on Boneyard Revivals. Do me a favor, remember to get out in the garage and start throwing some wrenches at your stuff, man. You gotta make it happen. Catch you guys later. Take care.